Now recording. Here we are.
Not RCC because it's not a class.
So our to-do list component is going to list pretty much house our entire list. It's going to house this. Do we want this to be a class component or a function component? Function? Okay. There probably isn't a wrong answer.
It's a wrong answer.
Probably is not a wrong answer. Like you could do either.
But function seems
All right. So let's do that. Nothing we need to care about today. Classes are better whenever they're more stateful and less doing stuff. Like function components are good for like doing stuff. Classes are good for more stateful stuff. That's a very fine line because hooks are a thing. So let's just use our new tools, right? Import React from React. Yeah, I pretty much say default to functions unless you run into a lot of issues and then go back to a class. Export default to-do list. So what are we going to return? We're going to return, we're going to have a form, right? Form, inside the form, input field, input, type text, button, an add, and all I'm doing is creating the HTML that we had there. Nothing too crazy, right? An li. Yes?
Can I ask, I know there was an element that I missed, but when I tried to make my files JSX files, it like broke everything.
Yeah, right?
What am I missing?
You are missing.
Import.
Yeah.
Put the JSX extension on the import.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I checked all my imports, and then I changed all my file names. JSX.
I don't know.
I'll have to do it again.
So when you write input by syntax,
Okay.
it's pretty much the same syntax as passing props to a component. So is that what we're actually doing?
So it's the same. So even though it looks the same, it's technically not because this is HTML.
Okay.
We're not passing props to an HTML. We're defining attributes on it. Are they doing the same thing with different words? Yeah. Like we're passing modifiers into it. We're also passing values into functions as parameters. They all kind of do the same thing.
Right.
Though different, this is attributes on HTML tag, not props on a component. They're different, but they look a lot the same because it's a very similar idea.
That's a slippery slope, though, because you could say
Yeah, I feel like it's a very kind of like
that's like a
they're
bad.
like they're different, distinctly different.
Yeah.
But they look very similar. I want to make this a p tag.
Yeah.
You find out the difference when you start debugging.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, this is not styled the best, right?
Anything else goes
It's not styled at all.
Exactly. Now I need to use it somewhere. Inside of my app.js, I want to give myself a header. I'll call this one list. And then we're also going to have a to-do list. Ta-da!
It looks okay.
Not styled at all. I'd love to style it today or tomorrow at some point. Because even though I know it's CSS, it's still very important. They may not like it. Some of us love it. Everyone has their own personal flavors. But it's needed in the web world. Like, you just kind of need it. So, here we are. Cool. What do we want to do next? The input field, right? So, it's when I type this, I want to be able to log it to the console. Nothing too crazy. I just want to be able to log it to a console. So we're going to have some data that's going to be changing. So fingers are good friends. Hooks. So we'll call this, what do we want to call that thing? New item, item name, task, new task.
Task. New task is yeah, set task.
Yep.
Set.
Task
There you go.
I feel
and
like you guys screwed together all day so after yesterday.
yeah, naming things is hard because you don't want to be too generic, but you don't want to be too specific because it may not make sense later. It's super hard.
I should show you the code for the thing I did last night. It got to the point where it was like, I'm gonna keep track of these stupid numbers. And so they might be named slightly more emphatically than they need to be. That's awesome.
Right, so we're tracking it here, right? Nothing too crazy here. We're just saying, hey, this input has the same value as our task, and whenever we change it, we're also updating the value of task. How do you know with that?
Where does target come from? Why do we use target?
So-
Is that kind of like this? Like you're kind of just saying like.
I
Yeah.
know. It's
So
so
what kind of default
simple.
structure E is the event, right?
Right.
So target is the five.
Beautiful.
We're in the event. And
That's like-
value,
it also
what is
feels
the
good.
value of this thing?
Right. But not. Is
We
it
got
is
this
that
point.
any number?
Value is whatever is current.
Yeah.
So it could be a
It
number,
is
it could be a
English.
string, it could be whatever
It is.
inside that.
There's some surprise
It
there.
doesn't mean numbers. It's gotta be like parsing.
Right, it doesn't necessarily mean that. It could, but it doesn't necessarily.
So last night I was trying to log, console log,
Different level.
in this case E.
Yeah.
I couldn't find where to do that. Yeah, I couldn't, for some reason couldn't
So-
find it.
Remember, this is just a function. So like, even though it looks very condensed, what we could do
Put it on that set task.
is we could actually put squiggles here and actually do stuff here. So console.log e
I think that's what at one point tried to
dot target and then dot target dot value just to see it.
do. Right.
If I come back over here, go to my console, do this. So it's changed, it's logging every time I change something. And we see here's the event, here's the target that fired the event, and here's the actual value of that input.
Ooh.
Yeah, right?
Can you do that again?
Console log literally everything.
Yes, Joe.
The code? The code or
I actually read that.
Where
I was not supposed to use console.
Where it's event and then target and then value. Where it's the console log.
Oh, okay.
Right?
So like this console log, that's the event. I'm going to clear this real fast. So like this is the event, the very top one.
Can you expand?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a whole bunch of gibberish here,
Right.
stuff that we don't care about yet. It's cool to know.
Get
Um,
bubbles.
Yeah, right. Bubbles is fun.
So
yeah.
it looks like target is blank, but should it have?
It's not blank. It's just saying it doesn't know it. That's
Oh,
all.
because we didn't click.
Yeah, because we didn't click it. By the time we click it, it's already out of scope, so it's gone. But if we log it out, it's like, hey, it is this thing. This is the target. This is the thing that fired off the event. Even though the user triggered the event, the thing that fired off the event is the input. I like to equate it to like cutting a tomato. Who's cutting the tomato? Me, right? But am I actually like using my hand to cut the tomato? I'm using a knife to cut the tomato. Even though me, the user, fired off the event by doing something, the thing that actually fired the event is the input field. Done.
So does that mean that you can change target to something else to be like something outside or like a different target or something?
So, like, could you change the target of the event during the event? Is that what you're saying?
Right, like Like if you have to specify, why do you have to specify that if you can't change it to something else? Like say you, instead of that target there, you're like
It's so we know what's fired in the event.
okay.
Let's say we have 3 buttons on our page, and they all have the same button handle event, but they have slightly different behavior based on what we click. We can say, hey, who fired me? I'm going to change my behavior based off of that. So if my delete button fires me, or my edit button fires me, or my mark as complete button fires me, I'm going to behave slightly differently.
Oh, okay.
Or if I have a row of stuff, my third one was fired, I want to know that the third one was fired. You can do some cool stuff.
But if you don't need this, just so if you need it, if you want to know that, so you can
Yes.
leave it out, but then you wouldn't have it.
So like we're having a conversation. The target of what stuff you're saying is you. Like, okay, you're saying it, that's cool. But like, is that something that I need to know? Maybe, maybe not. If we're on Reddit, do I care who's actually speaking? No. If we're in person, do I care who's actually speaking? Yes. It's a different use. That information is available to me for me to use or not. I can't just go, you know what? I heard Dante say that, but actually I want Hector to have said that. I can't change the source, you know.
Doesn't matter.
I can't change what fired it, I can't change who did it, but it's good to know who said it.
Right.
Because I might answer differently than if Dante said it than if Hector said it. That makes sense?
Totally.
But that target value is something that we have to have, right? You can't say like change them at all.
So you could leave out target, like you said, and then you wouldn't know
Well,
who
we
said
It
it.
couldn't be
but
just value.
That's
Well,
all
we
you
need
need.
target, though, right?
Yes. Then hey, look at the event, look at what triggered it, grab me the value of it. So yeah. Because that's going to be whatever I'm typing in.
That makes a lot more sense now.
Cool. Cool. Now we actually have it. We want an on-submit event, right?
Yes.
Whenever we on-submit it, we want to send it to our API to add it to our to-do list. Whew, there's a lot going on there. Let's get our on-submit event working first, and then we'll look at the API. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Cool. So our on-submit event, on-submit, we'll call it add task to list. This is just going to be a function up here, const that equals that.
Come on, you got it, Mark.
Got this.
Okay.
E.dot prevent defaults. Refresh me, what does e.dot prevent default do? And why do we need it? We talked about it yesterday.
Yeah, it's not the default behavior of
Cool.
the on-submit.
Cool. So between Liv and whoever else raised their hand, so we'll do Liv and then Dante. Liv, what's the default behavior of the form?
Wait,
What's
the
the default behavior of the form?
It would refresh.
Cool. Awesome. And Dante,
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't want it's like prevent it from refreshing the page. It says
where else have we used e.dot prevent default before?
when I didn't want the right click menu to come out for the on context.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm
Y'all,
learning.
y'all are learning something,
Are we?
obviously.
Oh my god, I'm really not happy.
So not having the dot prevent default continuously
It'll refresh the page.
nonstop or
No, just once.
Okay.
But as soon as we refresh the page, we've lost everything.
Because it's changing state, so is that why the refresh is happening?
Because it's a post, it's a form.
Yeah, it sends to the server and it just does this old.
So
Okay.
that's the form.
Yeah.
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 Get just the name in, and that's it.
Yeah. So it'll say, here's my name, I'm gonna fire off my request, and then it's gone.
Then you get back to the page. You'll
And we
type
got
it, and then if you try to go, well, I mean, maybe you could do no. If you go to the next area, depending on how you write your code,
Yeah,
you
right.
go to the next one. You put that in, they'll be treated as two separate entries.
Yeah.
So they have to be treated as one.
Yeah.
So when that page refreshes, you don't want that happening. Plus, the best way to make users want to choke you out.
Oh my god. Is to refresh the page?
Refresh the
Yes.
page.
Backwards incompatibility.
Since I go to the second.
Alright, so here we are. I'm going to console.log my task.
Log.
And then we'll check out this API. This is my cool, this is my new task. Clear that. Whenever I click enter, haha, does the thing.
Awesome.
Yes.
I didn't refresh the page. That's it.
All right. Just to kind of see that in action, if I would do this without the prevent default, just so we see what happens. The page refreshes and it's gone.
Oh yeah, that would be very bad.
Yeah, right.
Fire.
Oh man.
So,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what are the advantages of using form besides like just hitting enter.
So there's a lot actually advantage to using forms. It's more semantically correct. You can actually bundle a whole bunch of stuff together. We might get to a package tomorrow that makes form building a lot easier, as well as form validation. And you gain a lot of cursory functionality around it, so it's useful.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a time where I've been on a project where we did use a form.
Yeah, forms are super common. Just because like now a screen reader is going to come and say, oh, here's a list of fields that actually are bundled together. Because really a form probably has multiple things in it. Username and password, first name, last name, birth date kind of thing. So now here's a whole bunch of stuff that's together. And also there's a lot of built-in functionality as well. If I wanted to, I could change this from type text. We haven't chatted about it yet. But we could change this to type email. And I can throw on it, and what that does is that will actually give me some built-in validation across browsers, which is kind of cool. Amanda and then Dante.
So even though this is a JSX file, a screen reader will read this out as like, hey, this is
HTML.
a form.
Yeah, it reads it out as an HTML. It's a JSX file to us. Remember, React builds it into stuff. So at the very end of the day, they're seeing, a screen reader is seeing what you see here.
Okay.
So it's seeing
So somewhere
this.
in the dig. Okay, cool. So we can't dig down to the form.
Dante.
So when you're trying to validate the text in there and make sure that they type in stuff that's garbage or whatever, that's all regex? Is that all done? with
Potentially, yeah.
And then when you put the type on the email, that's like calling some kind of native
Yeah,
regex thing that's
Yep.
in the.
that is HTML5 browser stuff, where it's like, hey, here's some code. I'm going to give you a little bit of help to saying, hey, this is an email.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So then
right?
we don't have to find things in minor garbage.
Right.
I think forms save you time.
hmm
They save you code time.
Yeah. And yeah,
Sweet.
So, like,
What the?
What was that?
I type something, then whenever I tried to submit it, it's like, stop. I was told this is a email, but on submission, you didn't give me an email. So the browser is probably using a regex, probably something like we saw, to go in and validate that that's actually an email.
And what that does for us, it saves us tons of time. You don't have to write that logic in at all.
Exactly.
You wouldn't know it anyway.
Exactly. you could figure it out. It's not that hard, but it's trivial, right? And it's kind of generic for each project. Like an email address is not going to change between now and your next project. It's not. So like, I'm just going to reuse stuff.
Don't reinvent the wheel every single
Yes.
That message that was prompted,
Yes.
that's coming from your browser.
Yep.
Like, how would you log that or style that or change that?
You would actually use CSS to style it. And if you want to do anything crazier with it, like anything beyond that, probably just plop in a validation library. It does the exact same thing. But gives you more option to actually like style it and change the message and everything. There are ways to do it. So, but just that base functionality, yeah. MVP. I'm gonna make that no longer an email.
Does this save all the information the client types in there, or the user?
Is there a list of types on MDN?
Yeah, MDN input types.
Let's not do that.
Let's look at this real fast, just so we know kind of like what's out there.
Number, search.
That's right.
Yeah, number, search, email, and text are the four that I use a lot. But like,
Wow.
Yeah. password's a very common one too.
Yeah.
color? Let's find out.
Ooh.
Turns it into a color.
Oh, what?
No.
Oh.
You mean we could have done that with the color picker the whole time?
Built in color picker, right?
No way.
She looked familiar.
Are you serious?
But it's a type equals color. All these are really cool. We would put a type date. I'm gonna come back to you in a second, Amanda. Just to kind of see like what all else is here.
What is? Yeah. What would you use
Input
that?
date.
A project or anything.
Like the art.
Yeah.
Really?
Or
Yeah.
something?
So
And like a date, you get a default date picker. But right, whew, wow. But with the asterisk, those types are only polite suggestions. So like type equals number is not guaranteed to work across all browsers.
Mm.
So it's just saying, hey browser, this thing is a date field. This may not work in Safari. This may not work in Explorer. This may not work on your phone.
And that's why NVIDIA has that list of browsers that are compatible usually.
Yep. And really, there's a really cool site called Can I Use? And what this does, this is pretty much tables for how much browsers support some features. So like, let's do the color input. Input type color. So for the color, it works in everywhere where there's a green.
Oh wow.
So it doesn't work in IE, doesn't work in Opera Mini, and doesn't work in IE Mobile.
It's Opera Mini.
It doesn't work in whatever that is.
That's probably more.
IE is obsolete now, right?
But it's still out there.
But it is obsolete now.
No.
It's no longer being actively developed on.
Right,
Yeah,
it's not supported anymore, right? Or
It's not. I don't know if it's
working
actually
on it,
supported,
yeah.
but it's everywhere.
I'm sure IE 11 is still supported with purchase. They have to pay for support now.
Yeah. Yes.
I know that we didn't hook it to task, but with the color picker,
Could
if
we
we
use this?
put it on a hook and then console logged it, what comes up?
You want to find out?
I would.
Yeah. So like, let's throw this on a hook. Const color.
I know it's down a rabbit hole we're not necessarily headed down, but I want to see what happens.
No, these color holes. No, these color holes. These rabbit holes are fun. So we'll just make an empty string for right now.
Sure.
And let's just come down to here. On change equals that. Let's do console.log e target
I was gonna ask the same question.
dot value. It wasn't even thrown in a hook. Let's just see what it is.
Because it's going to depend on which color picker you use, right? If it's an RGB value or an
Yeah,
HSL
it seems
value.
like it's
Probably
gonna be
like
HSL.
RGB, HSL.
HSLA.
Gives you the hex.
Yeah, so it gives me the hex every time I change something.
That's how coolers works. Maybe.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, right?
So with
Thank you.
every like swipe across there, it
I mean, you notice it's like,
Did it? Yeah. Wow.
and you notice like the color from like here to here, like B8, A9, B0 to B8, A2, A8. Those numbers are really close. So just finding out this event a lot.
Is that taxing on the browser if they just log in?
Potentially, yeah.
Maybe his computer fan will come on if he kept on scrolling down.
Yeah, it's good if you're out in the cold and need a hand warmer. Just do like an infinite loop that does that. Don't do that, it'll ruin electronics.
Hand warmers, that's what you call it.
Yeah. There's actually a Android app for the longest time that was a hand warmer app. Back when like Android was like still young. And like people downloaded it and all it did was overclock your phone. Right? All it did is made your phone run really hot because
While
it's doing.
loop, right?
Yeah, it's like while loop with some really expensive operations just to heat up your phone. It worked. Damaged your phone.
Yes. Thank you, that's very cool.
Yeah, yeah. We can get back. We can use that later for something. I'm sure we can. But it's good to know. I need to get rid of, undo all of that now. Pull it out. All right, so let's take a look at this API. And that's a really good tangent because Can I Use is a really cool tool to use. Here's my API. A lot of things are going on here. Whenever I approach a new API, I like to do two things. One, I like to see how can I access it. What authentication do we have? Like, how do we get permission? Is it an API key? Is it some using password stuff? Is it like, how does that work? I also like to see what all endpoints I have. I'm not going to dive down deep into what the endpoints do, but like, what are my options? So authentication is the very first thing on the list here. Someone want to read that authentication part for me? Thank you, Amanda.
Authentication. OneList API uses token authentication. Your token can be any text you wish. As long as you use the same token between requests, you'll have access to the same list items.
That's pretty awesome. So it's really trusted. This is, of course, a test API open that we built a long time ago. But it says as long as we use the same unique API token, we can keep having the exact same to-do list. So that's awesome. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to define a token. Const token equals random word generator. Random word generator. Because why not? I want 4 words. All right, so I got my token. So you notice how I put it outside of my function, because it's a constant. And it's a constant because that's not going to change for a project, right? For me, that's always going to be the same, no matter what. So it's outside of my thing. Also notice that I made it all capitalized as well for token. It's a really good naming convention for things that can't change, or things that shouldn't be changed. So like configuration settings, URLs, stuff that's really kind of specific, should probably be capitalized. Really good naming convention.
So like an API key would be.
Yep. So like const API URL would be a really good thing as well. Right? And it's there we go. Cool. Now I want to add something to my to-do list. If I come down here, we have items collections, and that gets them all. Post creates a new item using this action. Cool. So here's what we're going to be using. We also have a whole bunch of stuff for a singular item, which we'll probably get to later today. So just worry about these top 2 first. So I want to do a post. Post means we're doing a web request. Web request means we're doing AJAX, which means we need Axios. Because fetch is so last year, it's not going to happen.
Quit trying to make.
Yarn add Axios.
It's fresh on the brain. Just watch the movie.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
Classic. It is such a good movie.
You go, Glen Coco.
And like everybody loves it.
That's
Like,
true.
That's
Across the board, yeah.
like demographics, years, age, everything. Like it's everyone's like guilty pleasure. It's like Mean Girls. Yeah, I love it. So I've added Axios. Import Axios from Axios. What? Oh, that's a good one too.
I feel like that's in the same vein.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
I don't know who wrote it though. Was it Tina Fey or?
So here we want to do this whenever we click it. We have our click event. How do we do this? Axios.post to the URL, API URL, but really it's going to be API URL / items with the access token. So we're going to be building up our URL. So this is going to be, hey, I'm going to our API URL / items, question mark, access token equals token. I got that from the documentation because they have a sample here.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't just make it up. Access token is a parameter on the URL. Parameters always start with a question mark, key equals value. So here, question mark, access token equals whatever it is. We're doing a post. We also need to send a body as well. So let's check out what the body of the request is. Request. So that's a very interesting JSON structure, right? You'd think it's just like text or item or something like that, but this is a structure that we have to work in. So I'm going to post that, but really the text is task. Cool. And then after that, response, let's just console.log response. And just for right now. So how are we feeling? We're doing a post to URL with our access token. The second parameter is the data that we want to pass it. We want to pass it data in that structure. We got that structure from the API. We didn't define that structure. Some other developer did somewhere, so we have to play with those walls. And then I want to send it its task, and then I want to console.log whatever I get back. Yes.
Back over on the API documentation,
Yes.
where we got the item, object, task, business. We don't need to send the headers?
We do not, because Axios handles that for us.
Okay.
Shouldn't have to, asterisk star.
Okay, alright. Because we did with the fetch when we posted.
Exactly. And that's a prime example of why Axios is
Nice.
better. I use better as very loose than fetch. So
It's abstracting more stuff from us.
it's making a lot of assumptions for you.
Okay.
Oh, you're doing a post and you have data you're passing me as an object? I'm going to guess that it's a JSON object. Versus fetch, which just assumes that you're just passing nothing until you tell it that you're passing something.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
If an API doesn't, are they always going to specify whether you need that header or not, or
Anytime you're passing JSON, you're going to need that header.
anytime that?
Because you need to tell that server, hey, I'm passing you data. This data is JSON.
What if it's just a get?
Then you Then you don't need that.
Okay.
Cool. Let's see if this works, Dante.
Just one more. What other kind of data formats are there besides JSON that you might pass in that?
There are, where am I writing this? The common one is XML. But there's also like form encoded data. That's a very common one as well. There's also something called JSON-P, which is a different style of JSON. So yeah, there are different types. Whenever we get to, if we ever get to dealing with files, there's a multi-part type that we send saying, hey, there's a file inside of here. So yeah, those are pretty much the big ones. 8 out of 10 times it's JSON.
Yeah, that's more back-end stuff, right? Where you're a data guy and you're
It's you're just kind of saying, hey, what type of data do I accept? So I'm only going to look for that type of data. So whenever we get to building APIs in a week, wow, that's weird to say. Whenever we get to building APIs in a week, we'll be like, our APIs are going to assume that you're passing us JSON. So we have to tell our APIs, hey, we're passing you JSON. So now if I do this, network, enter, I'm passing it There we go. Our post, we sent it that. And our preview response, we got back the item. Once an item is created, we see that it has an ID, has completed status, a created at, updated ID, a whole bunch of really cool stuff, right? Cool. It's 10:56. Let's take a 14-minute break. 14-minute break. Come back at 11:10, and we'll see what we can do with it.
So that API, that's what it's doing, is it's finding all that information for you.
Yep. It's created all that information.
So we don't have to write all that code.
Yeah.
Because that's really tough.
Yeah.
Not so much, well, it's just creating a